I'm Mrs. Vijayalakshmi, your tutor for physics. Today I'm going to cover the chapter Laws of Motion. Today, briefly, I'll run through how to access the revision notes and test in how to take the tests in the Classics. First of all, what you have to do is to go to the classics.com. See, this is the home page. You have the practice session here. Now click on to the e-premium. There you see the revision notes. Click on that. So we have actually summarized the whole of all the chapters which covers the 11th and the 12th. The important points you have to know, we have summarized and given it as revision notes. We have given the important formulae. You can as well go through that chapter wise for all the three, that is physics, chemistry and biology. You can quickly go through this. Once you are done with this, you can actually get very good results. So this is how it goes. We have started right from units and measurements to all the chapters, including the 11th and the 12th for all the three, that is physics, chemistry and biology. Today, I'm going to start with laws of motion. Okay? Let's quickly go through that. Let us see how to, quickly see what are the important things you have to know while going through this chapter. See, you can as well see this. Yeah, once again. Yeah. Laws of motion. First, coming to the Newton's first law of motion. Every body, you have come across the you have learned about the Newton's three laws of motion. The first law, second law, and third law, right from your 9th standard, 9th grade. Here, let me tell you how to, let us see this, the three laws first. Newton's first law. Every body continues to be in its state of rest or uniform motion unless completed by an external force. This law is also called as the law of inertia. What is inertia? Inertia is nothing but the inability of a body to change by itself, whether it is now going to be in the state of rest or uniform motion or along the straight line. Obviously, you know that inertia has three types. Inertia can be of three types: inertia of rest, inertia of motion, and inertia of direction. Okay. Now coming to the second law, the rate of change of momentum of a body is always equal to the unbalanced external force applied on it. That is, F is equal to dP by dt. Now, you know, momentum is mv. So, d by dt of mv, which is equal to m dv by dt. That is, you are differentiating m and v. Here, you know, v is a vector quantity. So, m is a scalar quantity. So, you have taken that out. So, dv by dt. But dv by dt is nothing but acceleration, right? So, you take dv by dt is equal to ma. And F is equal to, now substituting that, you get it as m into dv by dt plus v into dx by dt. If both are varying. The first case, it was only the velocity which was varying. Here, suppose m is also varying and v is also varying. Then apply the product rule which we studied in the differentiation, and then we come to this equation. F is equal to m into dv by dt plus v into dv by dx if both are varying. Okay. Impulse is equal to F times st. Okay, F times st. Next is the Newton's third law, that is, every action has equal and opposite reaction. F of 1, when I say F12, it is now nothing but force of 1 with respect to 2 is equal to force of 2 with respect to 1. Okay, the force applied by the first object with respect to the second is equal and opposite to the force applied by the second object to with respect to the one. Or you can break it and say the net force is now going to be 0. Okay, f of 1 2 plus f of 2 1 is equal to 0. That is, the net force is 0. So according to the principle, we were talking about the linear momentum. So according to the principle of conservation of linear momentum, the vector sum of linear momenta of all the bodies in an isolated system is conserved. Remember that it is always conserved, and it is not affected by any mutual action or reaction. Okay, that is an isolated system. What do you mean by an isolated system? Isolated system is a system where no external force is acting on it. Okay, no external forces acting on it. So in that case, whenever there is no force, no external force is acting on it, then you say then the mutual action and reaction is conserved. Okay. For example, you can say the flight of the rockets, jet planes, recoil of the gun, all this can be explained under this principle. Okay. So Newton's third law is derived under this principle. Okay. So now coming to the next one, the contact forces. When I say contact forces, the body is in contact. The bodies might or might not be in contact. So now we are going to see what will be the forces acting when the bodies are going to be in contact. So you just remember this formula, A is equal to F by M1 plus M2. So two bodies are going to be in contact. M1, let the masses be M1 and M2. So what will be the acceleration? It is nothing but, A is equal to F by M. Now here the total mass is now going to be M1 plus M2. So F is equal to M1 plus M2. And what is now going to be R, the resultant? R is equal to F, the reaction. The reaction is now going to be F minus M1A, which is equal to M2F by M1 plus M2. Okay. So these are the formulae which you have to remember when the bodies are in contact. So these formulae come under the contact forces. Okay. What is now going to be the formulae when three bodies are going to be in contact? In that case, let their masses be M1, M2, and M3, and F is now going to be the total net force acting on it. Then what is now going to be the acceleration? A is now equal to F by M1 plus M2 plus M3. And the reaction is now going to be, now you have two reactions now, R1 and R2. So R1 is M1 plus M3 times F. Let me zoom it so that it will be clear. Okay. M2 plus M3 times F divided by M1 plus M2 plus M3, and R2 is equal to M3F divided by M1 plus M2 plus M3. Okay. So body is connected by string. So suppose all these while we saw the bodies were simply in contact with each other. Now we are going to see the bodies connected by string. In that case, you can see that it is nothing but A by F1, F by M1 plus M2. A by F1 plus, A is equal to F by M1 plus M2. Next is, A has the usual meaning. A is acceleration, F is the force, M1 and M2 are the two masses. Okay. Now the tension. Whenever the bodies are now going to be connected with a string, obviously there is now going to be tension due to the string, right? So T is equal to M1F by M1 plus M2, where if the pseudo force, what is going to be the pseudo force? It is the apparent force in the non-inertial frame. The pseudo force is nothing but the apparent force in the non-inertial frame accelerating with acceleration. Suppose if we take that as A0, then A0 times F vector is equal to M times A0. Now you guys would have been often traveling on a lift. So you would have often experienced the weightlessness also. Now let us see how to calculate or how to go through the problems related to the lift. Okay, motion in a lift. Lift moving with constant velocity, constant speed. Then you say W dash is equal to, where is equal to the actual weight W. Lift is accelerated upwards with acceleration. The acceleration obviously is also going to be upwards. So in that case, you say W dash is equal to M times G plus A. Lift accelerated downwards, in that case, it is now going to be W dash is equal to M times G minus A, where A is lesser than G. Remember this. Okay, A is lesser than G. Okay, next coming to the pulley. When the masses are now connected, when the bodies are now going to be connected, and another mass is now going to be connected over a pulley. In that case, so now coming to the pulley problems, M1 is equal to M, where M1 is the mass of the first body, M2 is the mass of the second body. Suppose if M1 is equal to M1 is equal to M2 is equal to M, where that means both the bodies are of equal masses. Then tension is equal to mg. Remember that tension due to the spring is now going to be equal to mg. The reaction is equal to 2 times T. If M1 is, so two cases arise. Now we are going to see in the pulley problems, we are coming across 3 cases. Remember, one is now going to be of equal masses. The second case, when M1 is greater than M2, that is the mass of the first body is greater than the mass of the second body, then tension T is equal to 2 M1 M2 by M1 plus M2 into G, right? Then reaction R is equal to 2T, which is equal to 4 M1, because we know, we already saw R is equal to 2T, right? So apply that, that gives you 4 M1 M2 divided by M1 plus M2 times G. Now the third case arises, T is equal to M1A. Substitute for M1. M1 is nothing but M1 M2 by M1 plus M2. So T is equal to M1 M2 times by M1 plus M2 times G. Now we know where M1 M2 are the masses of the two bodies and G is the acceleration due to that. Right? Next, coming to the friction problems. What is friction? Friction is some resistance offered by the surface. Whenever the object is not moving on a smooth surface, it often acquires frictional force. So here we are going to come across another concept of what is called as the coefficient of static friction, mu s, which is given by FL times N, sorry, FL divided by N, where FL is called as the limiting friction. Okay, FL is the limiting friction. And anyways, today actually I have planned to do this laws of motion into two. Today I'll be covering one part, and tomorrow I'll be covering another part. So I'll just give you an introduction of friction today, and I'll be doing this in detail tomorrow. Okay, the frictional force. What are the frictional force? What are the types of frictional force? What is limiting friction? What is static friction? Everything I'll be doing in detail tomorrow. Okay. So now coming to the, I'll just give you an intro of what is friction. Okay. So acceleration of the block of a rough incline. So whenever the blocks or the masses are now going to travel along an inclined plane, there you get A is equal to G sine theta minus mu G cos theta. Simply remember the formula alone. A is equal to G sine theta minus mu G cos theta. Also, I'll be doing about the circular motion. Along with the frictional force, I'll be doing the circular motion, where we'll have to, where I can teach you more about the banking of the roads and the circular motion, vertical circular motion, everything. Okay. So the centripetal force required for circular motion is given by frictional force. where F is lesser than or equal to mv squared by r. V squared is lesser than or equal to mu rg, where mu, you know, is nothing but the coefficient of friction, r is the reaction, and g is the acceleration due to gravity. What will be Vmax? Vmax is equal to root of mu times rg. Motion of a car on band road is given by Vmax is equal to rg times mu plus tan theta by 1 plus mu tan theta raised to the power of half. So optimum speed V0 is equal to rg tan theta raised to the power of half. Okay, anyways, we'll learn up to pulleys, problem related to pulleys today. Tomorrow I'll be doing in detail about friction. Okay. Now let us quickly see how to go to the access the test which are given by Clay 6 team. You have all the 3 tests, that is physics, chemistry, about 102 tests in physics and 127 tests in chemistry and 55 tests in biology for class 11 and 43 tests for class 12. And you also have 38 full NEET full tests. Okay, you can take all the tests. Let me see how to access this. Now see, you click on that, you can see that I think I clicked the wrong thing. Let us go to the physics tests. Yeah, NEET premium. Go to the NEET premium. Go to the physics tests. You can see we have chapter wise tests for everything, right from the first chapter to the end. Kinetic theory of gases, kinematics, physics and measurements, laws of motion. So here the green bubble indicates that you have taken the test already. The blue bubble is, indicates that you have to take the test. You are not taken the test yet. And the red one indicates a random test. The yellow one indicates that it is an incomplete test. Okay. So now let me go to the laws of motion, the first test. Okay. You can take, even if you have attended the test, you can take it any number of times. And unless or otherwise you're going to be thorough with the concepts. Next, I go to test. Yeah, now it opens. You can be thorough with each and every concept by attending all these tests again and again. Remember, go to the revision notes. Make sure that you're thorough with all the formula given. It is enough you read all the formulae. See, the NEET revision notes gives you all the formulae for everything. See, we have summarized everything. Now you can see this for each and every chapter we have given. Now I briefly went through all the formulae which you have to remember for laws of motion. Based on that, we are going to do the tests now. Okay. Now, look into the first test. A car is moving with uniform velocity on a rough horizontal road. Then, according to Newton's first law of motion, a car is beginning to an acceleration is beginning to produce. Produced in the car. No force is beginning applied by the engine. The force is surely being applied by the engine. I'm sorry, children. I'll come again. An acceleration is being produced in the car. There's a spelling error there. No force is being applied by the engine. The force is surely being applied by the engine. Kinetic energy of the car is increasing. Okay. The car is moving with uniform velocity on a rough horizontal road. So remember, they have mentioned that it is a rough horizontal road. Yeah. That means it is a rough horizontal road. That means the body is undergoing some frictional force. Okay. So according to Newton's first law of motion, what does Newton's first law state? A body is now going to be under a continued state of rest or uniform motion along a straight line, unless or otherwise it is now going to be acted upon by the, yeah. See, every body continues to be in its state of rest or uniform motion unless completed by an external force. We said that it's also called as the law of inertia. Yes. So now recall what is now going to be, now after going through that law, you can see that a force is now going to be certainly applied on this engine because it is now going to be on a rough horizontal road. So there is now going to be a force of friction and we have to overcome this friction force. So we can say that a force is surely being applied on the engine. Option C is correct. Save and go to the next question. If the tension in the cable of 1000 kg elevator is 1000 kg weight, so this is the lift problem which we studied. Remember, see, we went across the motion in a lift, right? We'll have this problem is something related to that. So what does he say? The elevator is accelerating upwards. It is accelerating downwards, maybe at rest or accelerating, maybe at rest or uniform motion. Okay. Now you can see that the tension in the cable is now given by T is equal to mg. Okay, let me quickly solve that. Yeah. It is given as T is equal to, it is given as T is equal to mg, where that is if the weight is now going to be, mg relates to weight, that is 1000 kg weight. Here the acceleration is equal to 0. Okay, that means the elevator can be at rest or uniform motion. Okay, that is the elevator can be at rest or at uniform motion. This is what is being mentioned. So let's quickly see what is being given in the thing. So maybe at rest or at uniform motion. So option D is going to be the correct answer. So let us save and go to the next. A man of weight 1 milligram. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. A man of weight 1 mg is moving up in a rocket with an acceleration of 4g, where g is acceleration due to gravity. Remember, with 4g, okay, 4 times g. The apparent weight of the man in the rocket is what? What is now going to be the apparent weight of the man? Again, you can see that it is now given clearly in the. It is more like the lift problem. Here you can see that W dash is equal to m times g plus a. You can as well substitute here. You can see m times, it is now going to be 4g, right? So m times g plus 4g, which is equal to 5 mg. So option A is correct. Save that. Go to the fourth one. The linear momentum P of a moving body varies with time according to the equation P is equal to A plus BT squared, where A, B are constants. The net force acting on the body is what? Okay, linear momentum. Now let us see what is linear momentum given here. Now you can see that F is equal to dP by dt, right? F is equal to dP by dt. What is P given here? P is A plus BT squared, where A and B are constants. Okay, so dP by dt. So that means P is now going to be the variable which has to be differentiated. That gives you d by dt of A plus. Now let me solve that. That will give you P. Oh, sorry. P is equal to A plus BT squared. Okay, so dP by dt, when I differentiate this, I get it as d by dt of A plus BT squared, which is nothing but, therefore this implies F is equal to 2BT. Since A is a constant, it becomes 0. So it is, again, B is also a constant, 2B is a constant. We can easily say that F is directly proportional to T. Let us see which option is correct. F is directly proportional to T. B option is correct. Save that. Go to the next. Now we are coming to this pulley problem. See, we saw this pulley problem, contact forces, right? You can now as well apply that. See, yeah, something similar to this problem, right? So we are going to make use of the formula here. You can as well go through these formula and apply this. Okay. Two bodies of masses M1 4 kg and M2 3 kg are suspended at the ends of a string of negligible mass passing over a frictionless pulley as shown. The acceleration of the system is what? Okay. Now the diagram is given. Okay, let me quickly solve that. Before that, let me clear the canvas. Okay. When the bodies are released, now whenever the bodies are released, the heavier ones will now move in the downward direction and the lighter ones will move in the upward direction, right? So next, what is now going to be the net force? Net force is now going to be in the direction of the motion m1. So I can now put it as F1 is equal to m1g minus t. Now this is equal to m1 times a as per Newton's law. Net force, which is now going to be in the direction of the motion, that is now going to be, let us take that as F2, which is equal to, this time it is now going to be, tension is now going to be higher. So it is now going to be T minus M2G. Now let us take this as M2E. Okay, let us take this as M2E. Now let me take this as equation 1 and let me take this as equation 2. On solving these two equations, I will get this as A is equal to M1 minus M2 by M1 plus M2 times G. You can as well see this being given in the NEET revision notes. See, here we have given, you can as well directly use the formula. Yeah, you can see that and directly use the formula M1 minus M2 because here they are now going to be in the opposite direction. So we are now, it is actually, so M1 minus M2. So the force, the masses given are 4 minus 3 divided by 4 plus 3 times G is 9.8, which is nothing but 1.4 meters per second. Let's see which option is correct. Option 1.4, option E is correct. Save that and go to the next. If the normal to force is doubled, the coefficient of friction, of course, I told you I'll do friction tomorrow in detail, but one or two problems are inevitable because we have given the test as a whole, but I have divided into two parts so that I can give you a better explanation today and tomorrow. But anyways, I have given an intro of the friction. So using that, you can solve this. It's just an introductory problem. So if the normal to force is double, the coefficient of friction, he says does not change, half, double or triple. Okay. Now you can see that the normal to a force does not change. So because coefficient of friction is a constant, so it is in no way connected to the normal of the force. Okay, so it does not depend on the normal force. So you can say that it does not change. Option A is correct. Save that and go to the next. Okay, next is a force of 6I vector plus 8J vector newtons acts on a body of mass 10 kg. The displacement after 10 seconds, if it starts from rest, will be what? This is an interesting problem. Let me solve this. Before that, let me clear that. Okay. Now, A is equal to F by M. Now substitute what is F? F is given as 6I vector plus 8J vector divided by mass is 10, right? Now, S is equal to, displacement is equal to U vector plus T, sorry, UT plus half, again, acceleration is vector T squared. But since it is starting from rest, use 0. So this becomes 0 plus half into acceleration is this, right? So we can substitute for that 6I plus 8J divided by 10 times 10 squared because time is given as 10 squared. When I simplify this, I get it as 30I vector plus 40J vector. What is the magnitude of this? It is now going to be, magnitude is now going to be root over 30 squared plus 40 squared. And that simplifies, obviously, tan inverse or tan theta. I will put it as tan theta. Tan theta is nothing but just a second. Yeah. Tan theta is equal to So tan theta is equal to 40 by y by x, right? So 40 by 30, which is equal to tan inverse of 4 by 3 with respect to x-axis. Let's see which option is correct. Yeah, tan inverse of 4 by 3. Yeah, along the x-axis. 4 by 3 along the x-axis. So take that and go to the next. A man fires the bullet of mass m each with a velocity of v from a machine gun. If he fires n bullets every second, the reaction force per second on the man will be what? Okay. Now, according to Newton's law, you know, let me solve that. See here, I'll complete this. Tan theta is equal to 4 by 3, which is equal to tan inverse of 4 by 3. Okay. Let me clear the canvas. Okay. Going to this problem. Let me quickly go again. The man fires the bullet of mass m, each with a velocity v from a machine gun. If he fires n bullets every second, the reaction force per second on the man will be what? This is quite easy. All agree? As per Newton's law, F is equal to dP by dt. Total mass of bullet. Okay, so F is equal to dP by dt. Total mass fired in 1 second is now going to be m times m. Now, what is going to be the change in momentum? dP, which is equal to P2 minus V1, where P2 is the final momentum and P1 is going to be the initial momentum. So, which is now going to be mNV minus 0, because the initial momentum is 0 and final momentum is mNV. Okay. So, therefore, now substitute here, F is equal to mNV minus 0 divided by 1. The change in time taken is now going to be 1, which is nothing but mN. Okay. mNV, first option is correct. Save that. Go to the next. A man pushes a truck initially at rest and weighing 2.5 tons along a horizontal rail with a steady force of 200 newtons. The resistance to the motion amounts to 30 newtons per ton. The velocity of the truck at the end of 30 seconds is what? Okay, this is an interesting problem. Let us solve that. Now, the total resistance is now going to be, since everything is given in tons, first of all, let us take that. Now, you know, force is 30 newtons. So, we are going to convert that into 2.5 tons. Okay, 2.5 tons. Okay, that is equal to 75 newtons. Okay. So the resultant force is now going to be R, which is equal to 200 minus 75, which is equal to 125 newtons. Okay. Mass is given as, mass is equal to 2.5 tons, right? Or let us convert this to kg. That will give you 2,500 kg. Okay. Now, you know, A is equal to F by M. Now substitute the values. That is now going to be, force is 125 newtons, mass is 2,500 kg, which gives you 1 by 20 meters per second square. Now, you know, V is equal to U plus AT. Now, you know, the object is at rest. So, starting from rest, so V is equal to 0 plus, we have calculated A to be 1 by 20 times 30, which is equal to 1.5 meters per second. Let's see which option is correct. 1.5 meters per second. Yes. Save that. Go to the next. A rocket burns fuel at the rate of 200 kg per second The exhaust gases are ejected down with a velocity of 400 meters per second. The upthrust developed by the rocket engine is what? Now F is equal to V times dm by dt. Simple. We know V given as 400. dm by dt is 200. Multiply that. That gives you 8 into 10 to the power of 4 newtons. Let's see which option is correct. First, 10 to the power of 4. D option is correct. 10 to the power of 4. See, you might be in a hurry and A and D are same 8, but the powers are different. Okay. So be careful while attempting these questions. Okay. Next, a shell of mass m moving with velocity v suddenly explodes into two fragments. One of the mass m is reduced to rest. Find the velocity of the other fragments. Okay. Yeah. Let us quickly solve this. Here, the concept of linear conservation of linear momentum comes into play. Momentum before explanation is equal to the total momentum after explosion. Okay, so momentum before explosion is equal to the total momentum after explosion. Suppose let us take x to be the velocity. Okay, x is the velocity of the second mass. Okay, m2. Okay, and now you can say if capital M is now going to be the mass before explosion m, then I can put it as mv, that is momentum before explosion, is equal to m1 into 0, or let me take it as m only, because yeah, let me take it as m only. Okay, m into 0, I'll take this as small m. So in that case it will now become, because it is now breaking itself into two fragments, right? So this is now going to be m minus m into x. Okay, so from this we get x is equal to, because we have taken x to be the initial velocity, right? Initial velocity, or the velocity of, I'll put it like this, velocity of mass m, the object which is the body or the smaller mass, which is now complete. The big mass m has now divided itself into two components. One component is m, the other component is m minus m. That is what I've taken. So this velocity of this particular, that is m minus m, this component is now going to be x. That is what is taken as x. I can put it as m minus m. Okay. Yeah, it's now clear. Now see, x is now going to be the, see, that is the, let me make it clear. Like the object, the mass of the object before explosion was m. Okay, this is before explosion. Okay, and after explosion, it is now getting divided as m and m minus m, right? So the velocity with which the object m minus m is moving is now going to be x. Okay, that is going to be x. Of course, the other one is at rest, he says, so that is now going to be 0. So by applying the linear conservation of momentum, mv is equal to m times 0 plus m minus m into x. So from this we get x to be mv by m minus m. Let's see which option is correct. You can see option D is correct. Save that. Go to the next. A lift is moving downward with an acceleration equal to acceleration due to gravity. A body of mass m kept on the floor of the lift is pulled horizontally. If the coefficient of friction is mu, then the frictional resistance offered by the body is 1. Of course, this is again another problem related to friction, but I have given you an intro, so it is just an easy problem related to the introduction of friction only. So quickly let us solve this. Okay, let me clear this. C, let me draw the diagram for this. It is now, okay. The object is moving along this inclined plane. Let us say this is now going to be the object. Obviously, this is now going to be G. G is now going to be resolved into two components. That is G sine theta, and this is now going to be G cos theta. Okay. Or I can put it as M1G because that is now going to be something related to, it should be more like this. Okay. And G is now going to be the resultant. Okay. So forget this. This is going to be, because they are now going to be perpendicular, you know that. So this is M1G cos theta. Okay. Obviously, this is now going to be the tension due to the spring T. Okay. So T is now going to be T minus M1G sine theta is equal to M1 times D. That is now going to be force. Let us take this as F1. Okay, let us take as F1. F1 is equal to T minus M1G sine theta, which is equal to M1A. Let us take F2 to be equal to M2G minus T, which is equal to M2A. Okay. Now on solving these two equations, you get T is equal to M2 into G minus A, or which is equal to 2M, because mass M2 is given as twice the mass of the first one. So 2M into G minus A is given as G by 2, which is equal to, when you simplify that, you get it as mg. Let's see which option is correct. Mg, first option. Take that, go to the next, 13th one. A boy standing on a weighing machine observes his weight to be 200 newtons. When he suddenly jumps upwards, his friend notices that the reading increases to 400 newtons. The acceleration with which the boy jumped is what? Yeah, this is quite interesting. Okay, for the downward acceleration motion of the lift. So you can as well see in the revision notes, we have the lift problems, right? You can as well go to that. See, you can make use of these formula. Acceleration down, m into g minus a. Yes, you can make use of that. So it is now going to be r is equal to m into g minus 0. Here, a is equal to g. The acceleration of the lift is now due to the gravity, right? So a is equal to g, and r, this implies r is equal to 0. Right? Okay, now f is equal to mu g, you know that, which is also equal to 0. So therefore, let's see which option is correct. Mu g, you can substitute and find out that the value is now going to be 14.7. Okay, save that, go to the next. A block of mass just a second, children. I think I went wrong once again. Let me go to the 13th question. Yeah. I made a mistake. I solved the other problem. Yeah. Let me go through this problem again. That is, the boy standing on a weighing machine observes his weight to be 200 newtons. When he suddenly jumps upwards, his friend notices that his reading increases to 400 newtons, right? So let me solve this. I solved it wrongly. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for the confusion. Let me solve this again. See, force causing acceleration is now going to be 400 minus 200. Okay, which is equal to 200 newtons. So mass of the body is given by 200 divided by 9.8, where F by A, right? F is now going to be 200 newtons and A is 9.8 acceleration due to gravity. So therefore, A is equal to 200 divided by 200 by 9.8, which is equal to 9.8 meters per second square. Let's see which option is correct. 9.8, option A is correct. I'm sorry, children, for the confusion. Now going to the 14th one. A block of mass M is pulled along a horizontal frictionless surface by a rope of mass M. If the force P is applied at the free end of the rope, the force exerted by the rope on the block will be what? Let's see. Yeah. So this is now going to be A. This is now going to be M. That is the block of mass M, right? Now acceleration, you know, is given by P by M plus M. Okay, M plus M. That is force in the block, you know, is equal to mass of the block times acceleration of the system. Okay, I can put it like this. Force on the block is equal to mass of the block times acceleration of the system. That is M into, we can now substitute for A as P by M plus M, which is nothing but Pm by M plus. Let's see which option is correct. You can see that D option is correct. Click that. Go to the next. Save that. Go to the next one, 15th one. Two blocks of mass M1 and M2 are now connected. One is M and the other one is 2M. Are connected by a light string passing over a frictionless pulley. The mass M is placed on a smooth inclined plane of mass at the angle of inclination is 30 degrees, and mass M2 hangs vertically as shown. If the system is released, just a second, children. I think, wait, there was an error. One second. Let me go to the last question again. Yeah, the 15th one. Yeah. Two blocks of masses, M1 is equal to M and M2 is equal to 2M, are connected by a light string, okay, passing over a frictionless pulley. The mass M1 is placed on a smooth inclined plane of inclination theta is equal to 30 degrees, and mass M2 hangs vertically as shown in the figure below. If the system is released, what will be the tension of the spring? That is what is asked. Yes. Now quickly let us go through this. Yeah. The tension of the first one is given by T is now going to be the tension. What is going to be the force? T minus M1G sin theta. Obviously, that is now going to be equal to M1A. And M2G minus T is equal to M2A. Solve these two equations. You get T is equal to M2 into G minus A, which is equal to, now the mass of M2 is given as 2 times M. 2M times G, and A is now going to be G by 2, which is nothing but Mg. Let's see, Mg is the option given. Let's save that. So after finishing everything, you can end the test here. Yes, obviously the results will be loaded. Yeah, I can see the results. Of course, since I went back again, the results are not shown properly. Otherwise, red indicates the incorrect answer, green is the correct answer. And since I see I have not answered everything, right? So 14 unanswered questions it says. So if you want to know which, so suppose which is going to be the incorrect answer, say suppose 1 is now going to be the incorrect answer, you can as well go to that, click that, okay? And then the explanation is also given. So you can as well go to the explanation part and learn. See, the force is surely being applied by the engine. On a rough horizontal road, there is a friction and we need to overcome the frictional force. So a force is surely being applied on the engine, by the engine. Okay. So this is how you can get the explanation part also. You can learn, and again, once you're ready with the concepts which you have given in the revision notes, go to the test, prepare yourself. Still, if you're not confident, again, you can go to the revision notes. Remember, I mean, memorize all the formula which is being given. That is enough. The revision notes, everything is being given. And so you can quickly go through that, again, take the test. And if you're not getting a very good percentile, you can again take the test any number of times. Okay. So this is how you can make use of our tests. And finally, you can take the NEET full tests also after getting ready with all the, say, the chemistry, biology, everything. So this is how you can take tests any number of times. And obviously, you'll be interested to know how many marks, I mean, laws of motion, how many questions can appear, and what is going to be the weightage. Weightage is 3% for this particular chapter. So approximately, you can expect 2 to 3 questions. One was, yeah, something related to the motion, and the other one, definitely you'll be getting one related to the frictional force, which I'm going to insist. That is why I actually made it into 2, so that you can 2 parts, so that one part you can be with the laws of motion and the lift problem, all those pulleys and these problems you can be thorough with today. And tomorrow I'll be concentrating more on frictional problems, so that you can be very thorough with these concepts. So this whole chapter, I guess you'll be really, I mean, now thorough with the whole concepts. So thank you, children.